Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome everybody to our presentation today. I'd like to give you just a little background on the COVID-19 business impacts and recovery study. This study delves into the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on businesses in Bowling Green. The results are based on responses to a survey that ran during the early portion of January of this year. And this was a follow-up to an initial survey that ran last April, late April, early May. The purpose of the follow-up survey was to provide an updated understanding of how the pandemic was impacting businesses and how their business and how they needed to change. I know Demi has a considerable amount of data to present today. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce Demi Hikes, the Economic Development Coordinator with BGSU Center for Regional Development.
Thank you, Kent. All right, I'll share my screen with you all. All right, so we were really excited when the Bowling Green Chamber of Commerce and Bowling Green Economic Development initially reached out to us. I know they were interested in not only learning the impacts of the pandemic on businesses in Bowling Green, but also learning how they could assist with recovery efforts. And that's how I will move through the presentation today. I will start with the impacts and kind of go into how businesses have been coping with some of those challenges they have found through this time. And then we'll kind of get into, looking at hopefully the near end of the pandemic, especially as we're moving through the vaccine rollout. Okay, so a bit of, some of the major findings that you will see as we go through the presentation today. So of the survey respondents, 56% of their laid off or furloughed employees have returned to work. So that was really good to see, more than half. 64% have experienced declines in 2020 gross revenues compared to 2019. 54% have experienced a decrease in demand. 59% have applied for a PPP loan, so more than half. And 96% of those applications were approved. 98% received funds. Great high numbers there. 49% have employees working from home. 71% pursued a governmental relief program. And many would like the City of Bowling Green to provide support for the reopening. And many of those respondents would like the Bowling Green Chamber of Commerce and Bowling Green Economic Development to promote businesses and funding opportunities. So a bit of an overview. I know Kent provided some of this, but the Bowling Green Chamber of Commerce and Bowling Green Economic Development sent the second COVID-19 survey to various businesses in the city. And this time, for the second survey, they also shared a link to it in a news article. And the survey ran from January 4th through the 20th, so about 2.5 weeks at the beginning of this year. We had 93 respondents answer the first question, so good number of respondents there. And all responses were anonymous. The BGSU Center for Regional Development analyzed the results. And important to note, we cannot guarantee that each respondent represents an individual business because the survey was released publicly. And also you may find that figures may not sum due to rounding as we go through and see some of these graphics today. All right, so one of our questions was asking our respondents the industry that best reflected their business. Our top industry was manufacturing, representing about 14% of the respondents. Running at the top 5, finance and insurance, restaurant, food and beverage, shopping and specialty retail, and business and professional services. So a good number of respondents and different industries represented in the survey. All right, so in this question, we asked about some of the general impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. We found that the biggest impact on businesses was the decrease in demand. More than half of businesses, 54%, experienced a decrease in demand. More than half, 51%, are restricting spending because of uncertainty. And compared to our previous survey, these two numbers actually saw a decrease. So the experienced a decrease in demand dropped from 72% and restricting spending dropped from 65%. Interestingly, and probably not a surprise, we see 47% have had a supply chain disruption. This is actually up from 30% from our previous survey, which I know that many of you as, in your business and probably personally have experienced some of those consequences. 37% are making other changes to the way they operate. On the next slide, I will dive into some of those specific comments we got on those other changes they made. More than a quarter have experienced an increase in demand, which is always great to see that we see some actual positive impacts. And this is actually up from 12% in our previous survey. So great to see that that number has increased. 23% have had to abandon plans to expand their business. And this is up from 17% on our previous survey. 13% have had to draw on their line of credit, which is down from 30%. On this second slide, for the 32 respondents who selected other changes on that previous slide that I talked about, we dived into their comments. 23 of those provided specific comments on what those other changes were. And 35% of those comments discussed reducing staffing hours and capacity. 22% discussed remote work as being another change that they made. 22% said they implemented new procedures, and 13% said they moved to more online services and technology use, which is a very common theme you'll see throughout this. And I'm sure not a surprise, as technology has been so important throughout this time. Okay, so this was a new question in our survey, but I know that we had some folks that were interested in finding out specifically through Q4, there were some new changes that occurred during this time and seeing how they impacted businesses. So we asked respondents to select as many as these changes that negatively impact their business that applied. So 38% said none of these negatively impact their businesses. 27% said a lack of BGSU students attending in-person classes after Thanksgiving. So more than a quarter said this new policy by BGSU that was to help alleviate and prevent some of that contact during that time where they had students move to online classes after Thanksgiving. They said this negatively impact their business. More than a quarter said shipping delays, another thing we've probably experienced as you know, in your business and personal life, shipping delays. 27% said other, and I will go into some of those comments on the next slide. 17% said reduced in-store holiday shopping, and 10% said colder weather, reducing outdoor service alternatives like dining. So this number lower just because it did not probably apply to many of the survey respondents. For those that said there were other changes during Q4 that negatively impacted their business, 29% of those 24 comments, folks that commented on that said COVID restrictions negatively impact their business. A quarter said people not spending money or leaving their homes. 13% said lack of manpower or labor. Another theme we will see throughout this, throughout the survey responses is a challenge of the lack of labor through the pandemic. And 8% said canceled or reduced in-person appointments. Okay, so this on these questions, we asked the respondents looking into how the pandemic has affected employment. So we first asked how many employees they had prior to the implementation of the stay-at-home order, and the businesses had a little over 3,000 employees. Then we asked, since March 1st, how many employees they had to lay off or furlough. So more than 400 employees. So the percentage of employees that were laid off or furloughed was 14%. I think really important to note that this number has dropped considerably since our previous survey. It was actually 23% in our previous survey. We actually had fewer, the respondents provided that there were fewer employees prior to the stay-at-home order and had more employees laid off, more than 600 employees. So why we probably saw this number is that, a number of reasons that this is possible, that we have maybe had different survey respondents this time. Could also be the fact that we've had, several months between the two surveys, time to forget about maybe some of those laid off or furloughed employees, or also maybe confusion between those that they had brought back and those that had continued to be laid off or furloughed. But we also asked of those, 14% of employees that were laid off or furloughed, how many they had brought back to work, and that was more than half. So 56% of those employees had returned to work. All right, so we also asked the respondents to compare their 2020 sales compared to their 2019 sales. 65% of respondents experienced declines in their 2020 sales. So considerable, majority of the respondents experienced those declines. I think exciting to see that 14% actually experienced an increase in their sales compared to 2019. We also asked them to compare gross revenues from 2020 with 2019. Again, very similar to sales, we saw 64% of the respondents experience declines in 2020 gross revenues. And even more so here, more than 16% experienced an increase. So exciting to see that, that green slice of the pie there. All right, so respondents were asked about their most pressing concerns. We asked them to pick their top 5 most pressing concerns. We also asked about this on the previous survey. The only new concern that we had was this finding workers for open positions. But other than that, the rankings remained consistent with our previous survey, and always happy to see that the number 1 concern is employee well-being. This was followed by financial concerns of revenue, cash flow, and then in third place, finding workers for open positions. More than a third of the respondents, so 35% of respondents, said that this has been a challenge for them. So again, we will see this reflected, especially as we go through comments, asking about some of those ways that businesses are looking for assistance. Interesting to see, despite what we've heard as being a challenge, is that childcare for employees was only listed by making it into the top 5 comments for 8% of our respondents. Okay, so again, in thinking about ways to cope with some of those challenges, we asked businesses, we asked the respondents to basically provide to what extent they were implementing new methods, the following new methods to minimize the impact of COVID-19 on both their revenue streams and their employees. So we found that 47% of the respondents are moving to more online businesses, and 9% are considering. So about nearly half of our businesses moving to more online. Again, technology being really important through this time. Really interesting to see 49%. So almost half of the businesses are having their employees work from home. Another 2% are considering this. So it'll be interesting to see how this looks moving forward as we get to hopefully nearing the end of this pandemic and whether these policies will carry forward. 29% are offering carry out, delivery, curbside. Already doing that. and 14% are providing outdoor seating. 33% are having regular discussions with other local businesses to brainstorm ideas and share experiences. Another 26% are considering doing this. So an exciting opportunity for our businesses to collaborate and find ways to support each other and cope with these challenges. 27% are already working with the chamber and the city to promote their businesses. Another 32%, so another nearly third of the respondents were considering doing this. So again, an opportunity for city and chamber to help promote businesses. And we'll see this again as we get into some of those ways that the respondents listed that the city, chamber, and BG Economic Development could assist their businesses through the pandemic. A third are offering new products. Another 18% are considering this, and 15% are already implementing other new methods. 71% of our respondents pursued a governmental relief program. This is a new question on our survey. We were interested in finding out how our businesses, again, coping with these challenges and seeking these governmental relief programs since the emergence of COVID-19. 67% are specifically pursued a federal governmental relief program. 38% pursued a state governmental relief program. 29% did not seek a governmental relief program, and 10% pursued a local. So what we found is that if they pursued a local governmental relief program, they also pursued a federal and state. We specifically asked the respondents to say whether they applied for a payroll protection program loan, PPP loan, through the Small Business Administration. We found that more than half of businesses of the respondents applied for a PPP loan. 59% of the 29 respondents who answered they did not apply, 34% said they did not feel the need, and 66% said they did not qualify for the loan. So interesting to see that 66% that did not qualify. Great to see that we have these high numbers. So of the 47 respondents who applied, 96% were approved, and of those that were approved, 98% received funds. And so this 59% that applied was actually up from 57% on our previous survey, and the numbers of approved and receiving funds were also up, which makes sense, is that we've had several months between, so more time to apply and get approved. We saw that our respondents much less likely to apply for the economic injury disaster loan program through the SBA. So just 22% of the respondents applied for the EIDL loan. Of the 50 respondents who did not apply, 62% said they did not feel the need. So just 38% said they did not qualify, much smaller numbers compared to the PPP loan. 71% were approved, and 100% of those that were approved received funds. So this 29% or this 22% that applied is actually down from 29% that applied. So again, this could be that we had different respondents this time, or the fact that maybe we saw folks forgetting about some of those earlier applications. We were interested in finding out, the city offered a number of programs, services, and policies to help businesses overcome challenges due to the pandemic. Wanted to see if those programs, policies were useful for the businesses. Of the programs and policies that we listed, 51% of the respondents said that they did not find any of those particular services to be useful. Probably you'll see as we go through them that they probably did not apply to a lot of the respondents. 42% though said that the free parking in the downtown city parking lots was useful. 18% said that reducing parking requirements was useful. 16% said permitting outdoor dining was. 10% said relaxing the sign requirements. 4% said the BG Economic Development's revolving loan fund, and 4% said some of those other ones were useful for their businesses, and they could, on all these, they could select as many as that applied for them. We were also interested in finding out how the city of Bowling Green could help businesses through this time. Our top comments for our survey respondents was nothing, not sure, so maybe unclear on how the city could help them. Our second top comment was providing support for reopening vaccinations. So this, again, this was at towards the beginning of the vaccine rollout, and especially as we go through, businesses interested in how to best prepare for getting towards the end of this. And I'm sure we're all excited about the vaccine rollout and getting back to normal. So our third top comment was advertising and marketing for both the community and businesses, continuing free parking, making improvements downtown, and assisting with workforce development. So specifically for workforce development, there was an interest in sharing job openings and connecting people to those job openings. And we'll see this also on the next slide when we asked about how the Chamber and Bowling Green Economic Development could help businesses. Top response here was marketing, advertising, and promoting businesses. 12 responses discussed this, so great opportunity for Chamber and BGED. Nothing, not sure, next top comment. Then providing, promoting, and sharing funding opportunities. So this was something that we saw on the previous survey and still reflected today in the second survey's responses. Very interested in finding opportunities for funding to help with some of these challenges. Providing support for the reopening again, assisting with workforce development, just like our previous slide, interested in sharing job openings and connecting people with those job openings, and then promoting the downtown, promoting development in Bowling Green. Our final question, we, again, turning towards the future and hopefully near future, we asked the respondents how long they thought it would take for them to return to pre-COVID-19 levels following a reduction in COVID-19 cases and loosening of social distancing requirements. So we found that it will take 6 months or fewer for 62% of the respondents to return to pre-COVID-19 levels when we reach this post-pandemic time. So I think the important thing here is that 21% of the respondents said it would take a year or more for them to recover. So great opportunity there for more policies and services to help support some of those businesses that are most in need during this time. And so I know I'm gonna turn it back to Kent. I think I know there was interest in discussing some of those recovery opportunities.
Thanks, Demi. Well, first, I'd like to commend Demi on an incredible job she did, all the time that she took to put this project together. It's awesome. I'd also like to thank the Center for Regional Development at BGSU for their support and assistance as well for this project. Yeah, since we have, I know Mayor Osbacher has a State of the City recorded thing at 9, but we do have a little bit of time. So I was wondering if there's anybody that is in attendance here today that would like to either one, share their initial reaction to these results, or if you're representing an organization in town, if there's if you'd like to mention any services that might be of benefit to any businesses in BG.
Well, I thought it was super interesting. This is Kathy Wilhelm from Higemeyer Fine Photography. I thought it was super interesting that 26% had wanted to have discussion and collaboration and how they can work together to rebuild more quickly. And 32% said they were looking for help. And I have experienced that the BG business community has a strong collaborative component to it, that great business minds and great business ideas are out there, and that even looking outside of your own vendor industry for great business ideas has greatly benefited Hagemeyers. And any way that we can use to plug people even who are not from the same vendor areas, any way we can build those discussions, I think we'll build a better community. BNI is always open to help individually build businesses with direct referrals to that business on a weekly basis. So if some of those folks in the room or in that survey are looking for that, BNI is welcoming them to a meeting on Thursdays at 7 a.m. on Zoom. And you can reach out to me at 419-575-1177 if you would like to explore the possibility of that help. We would love to be there for you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Joey, I believe you had something to
Hi,
offer as a resource. Good morning.
can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Hi, yes, it's Joey Boston with Efficiency Smart, and I manage the City of Bowling Green's Energy Efficiency Program. And Bowling Green uses our organization to help businesses reduce their operating cost through energy efficiency. So we can help businesses that are looking, if you're having difficulties with your electric cost, give us a call. We can walk through and try and identify different solutions to help you reduce your cost. If you're looking at making any investments, we can help you identify which investments will bring you the greatest return. And also if there's any incentives that we can put towards the project. Last, I'll just say we're offering a really great program if you're considering something with LED, where if you will use a local supplier to purchase products for an LED product or project between now and May 1st, we will enhance those incentives as more of a buy local program with the intention that those enhanced incentives will stay in the community and do more, you'll get more economic value locally. So my number is 614-468-4900. If anybody has any questions, it's jboston@efficiency-smart.org. Welcome to take any questions.
Thanks, Joey. Yeah, I'll actually attest to Joey's program. I mean, we opened up the store, oh gosh, I guess it's been 4 years ago now. And we did the LED lighting program, and it's a great program. So yeah, I will attest to that.
Thank you.
If I could, I have a couple things I'd like to add in here. First of all, I want to apologize to Katie Thompson for not recognizing her being here with Bowling Green Economic Development, as they were a partner in this survey with us. So thank you, Katie. And I do want to make you all aware that we have utilized our website as a place where people can go for information about any of the funding programs that have been out there with the PPP, the EIDL loan. I know there's been a lot of those programs that you can attend to learn how to do them. So we didn't delve into them, but we certainly promoted other ways that you could hear about doing those programs. I do want to mention the city's revolving loan program as a resource for funding for these businesses in the recovery state. And this information that we have now is all on our website, but anything that you think could enhance what we provide on our website, for those resources, please send the information directly to myself or Steve Deutschman, and we'd be happy to share that with through our website. I do want to mention that I've been so surprised through the pandemic how many ribbon cuttings we still continue to have. And through those ribbon cuttings, we have done them through Facebook Live, and the response has been phenomenal. And the reach of those Facebook Live events has been incredible. We've continued to do our programming, and as Business Council was looking at the programming this year, we did look at some of the things that might benefit businesses as we were coming out of the recovery, but we are looking for continued programming. So if you have something to offer in that respect, please reach out to us. Business Council would love to hear from you. We usually do an interview of the presenter, and then we do have our programming set through 2021, but if it's something we feel that would help the business community, we'd be happy to get that out there. And that programming is open to our investors, but we also have a small charge if you're a business outside of the chamber and you would like to join any of those programs through our lunch and learns. Happy to say we are moving to a hybrid model on those lunch and learns, where we will have a small group. I think we are able to have 8 in attendance with proper protocols in place. So if anybody is ready to get out there and they're comfortable, we will be starting to offer with our upcoming one for March as a hybrid model, where you can either use the Zoom meeting platform, or you can be there in person. And I think our presenters are pretty excited about that too. Something that I was reflecting on, and I just want to share with the group right now, we hit that 1 year mark for us going into our shutdown and mask mandates and all those sort of things. And I just want to share with everybody that when that 1 year mark became relevant, I was so excited to go. We made 1 year without having a workplace incident of anybody being exposed to COVID. So I think our protocols were very well represented in that. And I just want to give ourselves a little pat on the back. And those are the kind of little milestones that, I think we need to share, because it's kind of uplifting to hear about those things. And I want to thank Betco for supporting our business community with a very large supply of the foaming hand sanitizer, which we still have some on hand. So if you do use hand sanitizer in your workplace, this is a very nice size that you can put at tables if you're having in-person meetings, at personal workstations. The restaurants in town, I've seen that they put them out on their tables. So please, if somebody has a need for those, we're also very happy to get what's left of our supply out to the community, because it's not doing anybody any good stored in a cabinet here. Trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to touch on. Marketing and advertising. I am open to any kind of suggestions anyone might have on how we can further what we do to market and promote our businesses. We are on constant lookout and watching for those social media posts about things that our businesses are doing, whether it's a sale or it's an anniversary for them. We're always watching to try to extend their reach, because our audience through our social media platforms is at about 3,600. I wish 36,000, but we continue to push to grow our likes and followers and all that sort of thing, because it is important that we're not reaching a small group and extending that reach with all of those things. we continue to look for anything we can do for our businesses, and we're always open. And the big thing that I would like to see come out of this gathering today is how do we further those conversations? If somebody has an idea, please let us know what it is and how we take that to the next level from idea to something that we can actually put into action. So I guess that's what I would like to say from the chamber. Katie, if you'd like to add anything in economic development, I know you've been very, very active in your department also.
I don't necessarily have anything I'd like to add. I just want to thank Demi. It was a really comprehensive report. You did a great job. So thank you. We always really appreciate any opportunity we have to work with the CRD. You all are very skilled. And so we appreciate your help as you offer it to us regularly. The only thing, Mary, that I would have mentioned, I'm glad you already did, is the revolving loan fund through the city of Bowling Green. That fund is there to use. They want to make those loans to people. So feel free to reach out to Mary or myself if you need any information on that. And also it's obviously available on the city website. But we'd love to get you connected if you know of anyone that could be helpful too. But other than that, just seconding what Mary said, and we're here if you need us, and happy to help in any way we can.
Thank you, Katie. And I can't help but thank the city for their initiatives and jumping right in and, changing some of their city permitting and those sort of things with free parking. I think that was a huge one in the downtown, as well as the outdoor dining and the sign permits on the sidewalks. Lori, do you have anything else to add? Because I'm sure I've missed some of the other initiatives the city had with helping the businesses, and if there's anything on the horizon that we should be aware of.
Well, thank you. And Demi, I want to echo too that you did a really nice job, and I appreciate your presentation. A lot of great information here for all of us. And certainly it's helpful to hear from those who are living and breathing it, what impacts you positively and what we can do to continue helping. And I think there's a lot of food for thought here moving forward, what we as a community can do together. I appreciate Kent's comments that, when we choose to work together and we promote each other, and that sense of community, which is one of the things that we saw a lot during this, that has a direct benefit, and that is really important. One thing that I think you're all aware of, and maybe Greg Robinette has brought it to you over the time, is that one of the things the city is working on is updating its zoning code. And certainly getting feedback from businesses. We were able to pilot some of the things that I think will be reflected in the code changes and see how they worked for our businesses. And as we move forward, again, we build off of the experiences we've had, the feedback we're getting, but also just ways that we can continue really as things lift and improve to support our business community in a measured way. And your voices are very important. They are heard. And I really hope that we can continue that partnership. And again, working through Greg, who I believe is an active member of your group, to bring specific things to you would be very beneficial, I think, to all of us, because we are a community, and those regulations we have in place are to make community stronger, but we also want it to reflect the community. So we really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this. And of course, if Greg has anything to add, I'd certainly, turn it his way, but we just appreciate the feedback. We appreciate the information. We appreciate being an opportunity to be part of the discussion, and look forward to continuing working together in that way.
Greg, did you have anything to add? And Lori is right. Greg Robinette, City Council person, Greg Robinette is an active part of our business council committee, and I think the committee is doing a wonderful job and bringing new things to the table. Greg, did you have anything to add?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm not set up this morning for video, but no, I appreciate the presentation. Of course, I was able to preview it earlier too. I think this is great information. I don't have anything to add. I will say that my conversations with the mayor and the city are ongoing to look, I mean, as we ask ourselves what more we can do to improve communication and cooperation and collaboration with our businesses as we move forward. So it's an ongoing process. It's asking ourselves every day, what can we do as a city to help more? So we'll continue that from the, my role in city council and talking with the mayor and the administration. And we'll keep pushing forward and try to make Bowling Green businesses as strong as they can with all the tools that we have available to us as a city. So thanks.
Right. Anybody else looking to add to this conversation? Let's see, anybody raising hands or unmuting themselves. So Kent, if you wanna.
Yeah, again, I appreciate everybody in attendance today. Like I said, Demi did a great job. I mean, there's a lot of pertinent information that I think is going to be beneficial to everybody. I will let you know that everybody in attendance today is going to be receiving an email. And with that will be the PowerPoint presentation that Demi had, a copy of that. And then if anybody wants to reply, if you've got ideas, other resources for businesses in town, or be part of something, if you've got any suggestions at all, we're open to anything you might have. So feel free to respond back and throw out your ideas. And again, I just appreciate everybody in attendance today.